stuff isn't, for me, that's not how I've made a living in professional wrestling. How I've made a living is being really good at the basic stuff. And if that's the goal of most people here, is to make this your living. This is what you want to do for a living. So you have to invest your time and energy into the things that you need to do to become a professional wrestler and make this your full-time living. Whether it be things that I don't really care for. I don't care for tanning or looking like a bodybuilder or anything like that, but I realize that looking like an athlete is part of this business. And so even if you're like, man, I hate going to the gym, it doesn't matter. For you to make money in this business, essentially you have to go train. And you have to watch what you eat and that sort of thing. Unless you're an enormous guy, unless you're 6'8", or unless you're like the Big Show, where it doesn't really matter what your body fat percentage is. Realistically, most places are going to look at your size and what you look like and that sort of thing. Likewise, in the ring, you need to focus. Any time that you can spend in this ring getting better at stuff. Get better at stuff that matters. Cool moves don't matter, guys. As much as in indie wrestling, it'll get you this, but it doesn't get people behind you. In Japan, they cheer cool moves, but they never brought me to Japan because I do cool moves. That was never the thing. They brought me over to Japan for technical wrestling and to make their guys look good. Whenever you're a foreigner going to Japan, you're essentially going over there. You'll beat some of the Japanese guys, but in the end, you're there to make the Japanese guys look good. And so, just realize that the basics, getting good at all this stuff, the footwork, anything that you can improve the footwork, headlock stuff. Now, a lot of independent wrestlers, and it's always been like this, people forego the small stuff in order to get to the big stuff. They don't do headlocks properly in order to get to brain busters and things like that. But if you do the headlocks properly and you use that stuff to get crowd reactions, by the time you get to a brain buster, Austin Aries is a perfect example, I think, of a guy who does a lot less than most people in, say, a company like Ring of Honor that's built around like big stuff, big crazy stuff. Right now, Austin Aries doesn't do a whole lot of crazy stuff, but everything he does is really good. And by the time he hits that brainbuster, people are booing him or cheering him or whatnot, And so, just try to work on all the basic stuff. And I know this is kind of scatterbrained, but learn things that are going to help you in wrestling. If this is what you want to do, if you're just doing this for fun, hey, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a weekend warrior. I know plenty of guys up in Canada who they have day jobs and they love, the couple times a month when they get to go wrestle and they get to wrestle in front of their friends and they have a great time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to make a living doing this, you have to there's so many guys out there right now trying to be wrestlers. You have to be in the top, I would say, 5 to 3% of those guys to be able to make a living wrestling, with all the schools out there and everything like that. So there are guys out there right now who are hardcore dieting, hardcore in the gym lifting weights, hardcore in the ring as much as possible, doing all that stuff, and they're still not making a living wrestling. There are guys out there doing that. And as much as it sounds like it's frustrating, wrestling doesn't know any of us anything. We do this, we're all here because we want to wrestle, and it's fun. But the more you put yourself into it, like I'm 5'8", 185 pounds, I'm pale as can be. I just started tanning, and but I've put a lot into this. Like I put a lot into training other things to use it for pro wrestling. It's like Colt said, what we gave you today was the basic story, but it's like a writer. Like if you know the basic tools for writing, you adjust it as you go along, and knowing the rules allows you to break the rules and know what you're doing as you do it. So, all that to say, come in here and train as much as you can. Get good at promos. Like I'm not a great promo guy, but I'm a lot better than I was 5 years ago. Cabana's a great promo guy. Sal's a good promo guy. you have to work on all those things that are going to make you money in places. Because at the end of the day, this is fun, but you also, if all you do it for is fun, people will get burned out for that. If you don't make any money, people get burned out, you know. And at the end of the day, everybody here would, I think, like to go make some money somewhere and do this and have a fun job. You know, it's a great job if you can make a living at it, you know. But to make a living at it, you guys have to realize that you have to invest a lot of time and effort. So just keep that in mind, you know, and realize that things don't come easy. So that's essentially all I've got to say.